Okay, Amanda, come on in, I said, gesturing her over while I finished scribbling notes from my last meeting. The Jacobson merger stuff was all stacked up on my desk, looking pretty all my notes in my tiny, perfect handwriting. Your presentation was killer, Mr. Chen, my phone buzzed. The board's gonna love these numbers. Thanks, Richard, I replied. Final changes will be with you by sunrise. I hung up and glanced at my watch, my grandma's old Cartier, the only family heirloom I wear every day. 2:58. Right on time. Then the phone rang again. I almost ignored it but saw who it was. First Valley Bank, probably something about Jacobson. Evelyn Hart speaking, I answered. Ms. Hart, this is Eric Landon from First Valley's mortgage department, a voice said. His tone was sharp, made me sit up straight. We're calling about missed payments on your property at 1847 Sycamore Lane. My hand went totally still, hovering over the Jacobson files. There's gotta be some kind of mix-up, I said. I don't own anything on Sycamore Lane. According to our records, you got a mortgage on that place 4 months ago. We've been trying to reach you about 3 missed payments, totaling 16 grand. The world spun for a second. I gripped the cool desk to steady myself. That's crazy, I'd never sign anything like that. I'm looking at the paperwork right now, I'll email you copies. Please do, I whispered. My throat tightened, but I kept my voice level, hit send. The little chime went off and there it was, sitting in my inbox, attachments and all. I clicked them open and the documents filled the screen. But it was the signature page that grabbed me, my name. My signature, but not really. That little uptick on the H, the rounded A, it looked more like my mom's handwriting than mine. Even the spacing between the letters was off. It all came rushing back. Sunday dinner at my parents' place just 3 months ago. Mom sliding some papers across the table, all smiles. Just some birthday stuff to sign, honey. For taxes, she'd said. I was too busy watching Brooke show off pictures of her new place on her phone. That house she somehow managed to buy on a teacher's salary. The one with the wraparound porch she'd always wanted, over on Sycamore Lane. My stomach dropped. I minimized the mortgage papers and went back through my emails. And there they were. All those emails from Mom, asking about my finances, disguised as casual chit-chat. Just checking you got your tax forms, sweetie. Did that investment report arrive okay? The room started tilting again. I grabbed the edge of my desk, my knuckles bone white against the dark wood. The signatures blurred in front of me, forged by the same hand that had written those little notes in my lunchbox, signed my report cards, sent me birthday cards year after year. Then Eric's voice cut through the fog. Ms. Hart, you there? And just like that, the lawyer in me took over. My hands were steady as I grabbed the legal pad. Yep, I needed the exact dates of the missed payments, please. I made a note of everything, dates, how much, account numbers. Even though I felt this shaking start up in my chest, my penmanship stayed neat. I kept my cool, my game face on, as Eric went over all the late fees and how bad it was making my credit look. I'm going to need all the paperwork, I told him, my voice sharp and in control. Everything connected to this mortgage. Of course. I'll have our fraud department. No. The word just jumped out of me harder than I meant it to. Not yet. Send everything straight to me. I hung up the phone and just sat there, not moving, staring at the proof of what they'd done, practically glowing on my computer screen. The slightly off bits in the fake signature got blurry as my eyes started to burn. My phone buzzed. It was Caleb Monroe, my best friend since law school, now a partner at another firm. My finger just hovered over the screen. They're my family. There has to be a reason. But I could hear myself in court, arguing all those financial fraud cases. Fake is fake, even if your family does it. Actually, it's probably worse when it's someone you trust. I answered Caleb's call. Hey superstar, I heard you killed it at the Jacobson presentation. Wanna grab drinks? My voice kind of cracked. I need your help, professionally. A beat of silence. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I put the phone down and looked out my office window at the city sprawling below. My phone was blowing up with alerts. 3 calls from my mom. Then a text popped up. Honey, we have to chat about some stuff. My stomach twisted as I watched the little line blink at the end of her message, and I could feel tears welling up along with this crazy anger. Sunlight hit Grandma's watch, making it gleam. It was the last thing she gave me before she passed, pressed into my hand with a whisper. Be strong, sweetie, she said. Not everyone is trustworthy. I didn't get it back then. Now I did. 810 to 611. Tara Noy's finger moved along the credit score chart on her tablet. In 14 months. Your parents were very thorough. The conference room at Caleb's law office smelled of coffee, and a kind of sick dread. The late afternoon sun was coming in at an angle, making these long shadows across the financial papers spread out on the shiny table. My shoulders were killing me from bending over all that stuff for the last 3 hours. Okay, so let me get this straight. I put my fingers to my temples. While I was helping Mom plan her tennis club fundraiser, she was opening credit cards in my name. 3 credit cards. Tara swiped to the next screen. Her coral blazer really stood out in the room, just like her way of being was so different from Caleb's. 2 personal loans, 1 business loan, and they used your investment portfolio as collateral. My hand froze on its way to my coffee cup. My, what? The 180,000 in your Vanguard account. Tara's gaze, dark as night, locked onto mine. They got in using the stuff from those tax forms you signed, birthday records. The words felt awful in my mouth. I shoved my chair back and it scraped across the wood floor. The city view outside the window got blurry and I blinked hard. Caleb put his hand on my shoulder. Just breathe, Evie. I didn't want to breathe, my voice was way too harsh. I need to know how they pulled this off. Tara spread out the papers like she was dealing a deck. Bank statements, loan apps, credit reports. My signature, or at least my mom's imitation of it, was right there on every page, pretending to be official. They started small, Tara explained. A store card here, a little loan there. Always paying the bare minimum, just barely avoiding any red flags. Clever, I saw the setup. I'd done enough fraud cases to know the planning. They knew exactly what they were doing. This wasn't some cry for help. Caleb sat down next to me. It was planned. My phone buzzed. Mom's face lit up the screen. A picture from Christmas, her smile was fake. I flipped the phone over. The mortgage was their downfall, Tara went on. They got too confident. Missed payments, they couldn't cover them. That's what made the bank start looking. 16 grand in missed payments. The number just ran around in my head. For Brooke's house. The house with that big wraparound porch, there was no way I could have ever bought it on a teacher's pay. Caleb's face got hard. This isn't just some scam, Evie. This is like a total stab in the back. Family fraud is the hardest thing to prosecute, Tara chimed in. She was tapping her nails on her tablet. And the worst part is the emotional fallout. I don't even want to think about how I feel, I said, pushing the messy papers together. I want to figure out what's next. We have procedures for identity theft, Eric Landon's voice, all crackly from the speaker, said. Even when it's family. But you have to choose how far you want to go with this. My phone buzzed again. A text. Dad's making his killer lasagna tonight. Everyone's invited. We gotta go over some paperwork, sweetheart. That old nickname made my stomach churn. How many times had she called me that while faking my signature, ruining my credit, using my name to get loans she never planned on paying back? You don't have to go, you know, Caleb said softly. Yeah, I do. I dropped the phone in my bag. I need to see their faces when they lie to me again. They'll play you emotionally, he warned, his voice thick with years of knowing me. You know that, right? I nodded. I knew. I stood up, tugging at my skirt. But I'm not the same pushover they've been messing with all this time. Tara started gathering her stuff, moving quick and organized. We're totally ready for whatever you decide. The banks, the credit places, the people who dig into things all set. One word from you and we're on it. I reached out and touched the pile of stuff we'd gathered. The paper was cold against my hand. Real, concrete, not like all those family stories I believed for ages. The responsible one, I mumbled to myself. That's what they always said about me. The rock. The one who could deal with anything. Evie, Caleb's voice got soft. You don't have to do this by yourself. I picked up Grandma's watch where I'd set it down while looking over the papers. The glass caught the last bit of sunlight as I put it on. It was the last thing she ever gave me, her last warning about who to trust. I'm not alone. I looked at Tara's steady eyes and then Caleb's worried face. I have something better than family. I have people on my side. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. Don't forget the garlic bread, sweetie. Yours is always the best. I shoved the phone back in my bag without answering. The case full of evidence felt heavy and secure as I picked it up. Outside the conference room, shadows were getting long across the city. Soon I'd be at my parents' dinner, eating their lies with the lasagna. But first I had a stop to make. I need to see my financial advisor. I glanced at my watch. Grandma's watch. The only real thing I had left. I want to know exactly what they did to my money before I see them. Caleb said, I'll go with you, but I shook my head. Nah, I said, I gotta do this on my own. But I made him promise to keep his phone on, all the time. He gave my shoulder a squeeze. He just kept saying, remember, they're counting on you to keep quiet. Family loyalty, right? Family loyalty. Yeah, right. I stood there at the door, hand on the cold metal, thinking about how that whole family loyalty thing only ever seemed to go one way. The elevator doors shut and ching, my phone blew up. Buzz, 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 I didn't even look. I knew exactly what they were saying. They were already cooking up their excuses, polishing their emotional weapons, getting ready for tonight's big show. But they didn't know what I knew. That sometimes being strong isn't about holding it all together. Sometimes it's letting it all fall apart. Mom's lasagna, that strong smell of garlic and oregano, hit me the second I walked in. It made my stomach churn. Instead of feeling like coming home, I just felt the papers in my bag, the edges digging into my skin. Evelyn. Mom came floating towards me, all smiles, in that cornflower blue dress, arms open wide. Her hug felt like a snare, perfect timing. Walter had just pulled the garlic bread out of the oven. The kitchen was gleaming, that fake perfect look Mom does when she wants something from you. Chris. The wine glasses sparkled in the sunlight. And there was Dad's fancy tablecloth, the one we only used for holidays and really important talks. I'm standing by the window, fiddling with my wine glass, and my eyes keep flicking over to my purse. Mom's motioning towards my usual chair. Sit, she urges. Dad says, Walter, open up that Cabernet you like. But I'm not moving. No wine tonight. Dad comes in from the kitchen, holding the lasagna in oven mitts. It smells amazing, and steam's curling up from the perfectly brown top. He sets it down real careful on the cork trivet. There's my girl, he says, but he's not smiling with his eyes. It's been ages since we've had a real family dinner. 3 months and 8 days since they faked my signature on that mortgage. So, how's the Jacobson merger going? Mom's dishing out lasagna onto these fancy bone china plates. She's way too composed, way too meticulous. You said the board presentation was. My purse feels heavy on my hip. Inside, their lies and scams are waiting, like loaded guns. The merger's fine. I watch Mom serve, those same hands that practiced signing my name until they were perfect. The board approved everything. Of course they did. Dad raises his wine glass, toasting my brilliant daughter. The crystal catches the light, just like when Mom slid those papers over the table months ago. Just some birthday paperwork, sweetie, for taxes. My fingers find the documents in my bag. Time to shut this show down. I pull out the mortgage papers and slap them down on the pristine white tablecloth. The bank's logo shines black and bold. The room just goes completely silent. Mom's serving spoon, poised over the lasagna, dripped a spot of sauce onto the white plate. Can someone please tell me why there's a mortgage in my name for a house on Sycamore Lane? My voice was flat like I was on a work call. Brooke slammed her wine glass down, the red wine nearly spilled. Sweetheart. Mom's eyes got all teary. Classic. The spoon went back into the lasagna like nothing happened. We were just trying to help your sister. Help her by committing fraud. Don't be so over the top, Dad snapped, using the voice that always made me feel small. Sometimes families have to stick together. Stick together. The words felt gross. By forging my signature, by stealing my identity, Brooke's voice cracked. The bank wouldn't give me a loan. Mom and Dad said you wouldn't care. You're always helping me. The way they all ganged up on me hit me hard. They planned this, they practiced it. You're the strong one, Mom whispered. You can handle this, it's just money. Just money, just my signature, just my credit, just my reputation, just my trust. The weight of it all was crushing. Always the responsible one, the dependable one, the one who gives and gives. My whole life flashed before my eyes, the constant pressure to do more, fix more, take more, for family. I pushed my chair back from the table. That sound, it just shattered all their excuses. The room went dead quiet, heavy like a room full of smoke. My hands didn't shake as I picked up those papers. Each one felt like a stab in the back, each signature a fresh cut. Evelyn, please, Mom pleaded, reaching for me. We can explain. But I pulled back. Sit down, Dad ordered. We're having a family dinner, he said, like nothing was wrong. The door opened and closed quiet as a mouse. I didn't even glance back. Son of a bitch, Caleb muttered, eyes glued to his computer. The morning sun was streaming in, making stripes of light across his desk. This is way bigger than your mortgage, he said, his voice serious. I leaned in. What did Tara find? He swiveled his monitor around. Spreadsheets, rows and rows of numbers, all neat and tidy. Your parents have been running an investment scam through the tennis club, he said, using your name and reputation to lure people in. The world spun for a second. I had to put my hand on his desk to keep from falling over. How much? I croaked. 3.2 million so far, he said, his fingers tapping a nervous rhythm on the desk. Tara traced the money to accounts in Belize and Singapore. It felt like the betrayal was spreading, like ripples in a still pond, each one revealing more damage. They used me. The words caught in my throat. They used my good name to rob their friends. Vulnerable seniors, Caleb corrected, his voice low. Retirees looking for safe investments. They promised guaranteed returns, using your legal background to make it seem legit. Something inside me just snapped. A lifetime of feeling responsible for them, all crashing down under the weight of what they'd done. This isn't just about me anymore, it's bigger than that. Caleb's already digging out his phone, nodding. I'm gonna get my FBI contacts on this, and the Financial Crimes Unit too. Tara's putting together all the proof, and we'll need Eric from the bank as well, their fraud department, that is. My voice, it felt different. Stronger somehow. Caleb's team moves like a well-oiled machine. Within hours, my office is overflowing with federal agents, accountants who know their stuff, and bank investigators. Everyone's connecting the dots, adding pieces to this huge puzzle. I'm watching them from my window, and even though they're so good at what they do, it doesn't make me feel better. Every new piece of evidence just feels like a fresh stab in the gut. Ms. Hart, a young agent's beside me, we need you to look at these victim statements. The pile of papers is heavy in my hands. Names and numbers all blurry until one name jumped out: Margaret Wilson. My high school English teacher. The woman who showed me what justice really meant, through books no less. She wrote my college recommendation, her handwriting so neat and perfect. $247,000. Her retirement savings. The paper crinkled in my hand, my fingers were so tight. Ms. Hart, the agent looked a little worried. Are you? I'm fine, I said, smoothing out the paper. And I'm going to make sure every single one of these people gets their money back. My phone vibrates. Mom's number, I ignore it. Another buzz, Dad, nope, not answering that either. Then a text from Brooke, if you do this, you'll ruin our family. Caleb looks up from his work. You okay? I'm watching the sun go down behind the city, and the way it lights up the clouds feels right. Like some kind of justice, because they did this to themselves. The agent comes back with another stack of statements, each one from someone who trusted us, who believed in our family name. I take them, my hands surprisingly steady. Some things are bigger than family. The morning sun was creeping through the blinds in Caleb's office when I signed the last report. My real signature, no fake mom stuff this time, smooth and perfect on every page. You ready? Caleb asks, his voice a mix of worry and I got this. I glance at my watch. 7:58, 2 minutes to go. We planned this down to the last freaking second. At 8:00 on the dot, those reports would hit 6 different agencies all at once. The second they opened their doors, bam, accounts frozen. By 8:15, the official investigation notice would be landing at my parents' doorstep. Certified mail, signature required. My phone buzzes. Tara's text, bank team's good to go. I slide the reports across Caleb's desk. His assistant grabs them and vanishes, each one headed for a different messenger. Mom's last voicemail echoes in my mind. Sweetheart, please, she'd begged. You have to understand. We can explain everything. She almost sounded genuine, that little shake in her voice. Almost. Caleb's grandfather clock chimes 8 times. Somewhere in the city, a mail carrier's ringing my parents' doorbell. And somewhere else, Brooke was probably just strolling into her 4th grade classroom, decked out in clothes she bought with my stolen credit cards. Then my phone buzzed, Eric from the bank. He said my accounts were frozen. 3 times in the last hour, someone tried to take money out, but they were blocked. Caleb, watching my face crumble, said they knew this was coming. He was right, Mom always could see right through me. It was a bitter pill to swallow. She even knew what I wanted for Christmas before I told her, even when I tried to hide my list. This isn't a Christmas list, Evelyn, I muttered, smoothing down my skirt, a nervous tic I've had since I was a kid. It's proof of $2 million in identity theft and fraud. My phone started ringing again. Dad, Caleb reminded me to let it go to voicemail. I hit ignore, but the notification popped up a second later. Dad's voice echoed through the room. Evelyn, your mother's a wreck. I've never seen her like this. Whatever you think we've done, we can fix it, just call us. He added, Richard Spencer Hayes has been asking about you at the club, he's worried. Richard Spencer, I said, the name hanging in the air. He'd been my dad's tennis buddy for 20 years, a retired investment banker widowed last spring. Caleb's eyes got tight. One of their targets, he stated. They'd used my good name, everything I'd built, to rob a grieving man who'd known me since I was 10. The words just tumbled out, cold and empty, like I was reading some legal document. Just then the door opened. Tara barged in, her usual cool demeanor completely gone, replaced with something close to panic. "We've got a situation," she said. She slammed a file down on Caleb's desk. Inside, a job application. My resume, my bar number. My signature was there, but the handwriting wasn't mine. "Where?" The room felt a little off-kilter. "3 law firms, 2 banks, your sister's been up to something." The granite paperweight on Caleb's desk caught my attention. I'd given it to him as a gift after he made partner. It was solid. Heavy, real. "The Bar Association," I managed to whisper. "They've already been notified," Caleb replied. "I have a call with the ethics committee in 20 minutes. We're handling this, Evelyn." Another text popped up from Eric. "Documents secured." Bank employees were giving sworn statements. My phone vibrated again, this time from a number I knew from the tennis club, then another, and another. "It's starting," Tara said quietly. "The club members are putting the pieces together." The carefully crafted image my parents had spent over 40 years building was collapsing. Each call was another blow to their carefully constructed reality. My office phone rang. Claire, my secretary, on the line. "Ms. Hart, your sister's boyfriend is here. He really wants to see you." "Send him away," Caleb instructed through the speaker. "No," I stood up, smoothing down my jacket. "I'll see him, Evelyn, in the conference room with security." 5 minutes later, Mark was fidgeting in the stiff conference room chair. His normally perfect hair was a mess. His polo shirt was rumpled. "Brooke's a mess," he began. "She hasn't slept in days." "Misunderstanding," she whispered. Those words, though, they felt wrong, you know. Like, were we really calling it that? Did she really think faking my signature, using my license, and stealing my identity were just misunderstandings? "I mean," she said, "she didn't. Your folks told you to leave," he just kind of mumbled. "Leave," that's all he could say. "Yeah. And tell my sister if she even thinks about my office, or my house, or my law stuff again, the next letter she gets will be from the DA. The door to the conference room shut behind him with a quiet click. Through the glass, I saw him practically speed walk away, and the security guy almost fell over trying to keep up. My phone buzzed, an email from my dad's lawyer. "They want to settle," Tara said, reading the screen. "Of course they do." I just shut the email without reading it all. My mom was probably already figuring out how to blame everything on my dad, of course. Just then, a text popped up from her. "It was all your father's idea, sweetie." I erased it before I finished. "Ms. Hart, it's Claire again. Agent Thompson from the FBI on line 1. They'd found something." My stomach got all twisty. "Put him through," I said. His voice came through the speaker, all staticky. "Ms. Hart, we found a storage unit registered to your father. Several file cabinets, papers dating back 15 years. The room just went dead silent. "What kind of papers?" Caleb asked, 'cause I couldn't speak. "Bank statements, loan applications, forged signatures," he reported. There was a long pause. "Different names, different states." My grandmother's old Cartier watch felt suddenly heavy on my wrist, her final present. Her last thing she said was, "Stay strong, honey." She was right, too, about not trusting everyone, she just knew. The sunlight coming through Caleb's window, it was the same, but it felt different. Each ray just showed off another betrayal, another fib, another person I let get hurt. My phone buzzed one last time. It was Brooke. "I'm gonna tell them everything," her text said. "I can't do this anymore." I put the phone down, screen down, on Caleb's desk. I glanced at the family portrait behind him. His family. Smiling, genuine, real. What now? Tara asked, real soft-like. The paperweight made of granite felt cold in my hand, solid, like proof, like the actual truth. "Now," I said, "we save whoever else they're trying to hurt." The grandfather clock chimed 9. An hour since the first reports had been filed. An hour since I'd officially declared war on the people who raised me. The day was just starting, and I was only getting going. The courthouse steps, they seemed to go on forever, each one a thump in my chest. I smoothed down my charcoal suit jacket, and my grandmother's Cartier watch caught the sunlight. Through the big columns, I saw bunches of people from the tennis club, their gray hair shining in the sun. Inside courtroom 314, the wooden benches groaned under all the people. Mrs. Patterson, my old English teacher, she caught my eye from the third row. The little tilt of her head, it said everything. It was the same pep talk she'd given me before debate competitions 3 decades ago. Mom, Dad, and Brooke were in the front row, defendant's side. Even her perfect hairdo couldn't hide how tired Mom looked. Dad's shoulders slumped under that fancy suit. Brooke was fiddling with a tissue, her wedding ring nowhere to be seen. Everyone stood up. Judge Chen, all in black, walked in, her robes swirling. You could hear everyone getting up. I straightened right up and went to the witness stand. State your name for the record, the clerk said. Evelyn Marie Hart, I said, my voice echoing. Mom's lawyer, this guy Barrett, came over looking all worried and practiced. Ms. Hart, isn't it true your mother's always backed your career? Been to every school play, every graduation. She was there, I said. It felt like poison in my mouth. She also forged my name on those loan papers. He said, but surely you understand she was trying to help your sister. Families help each other, right? The prosecutor, Caleb, yelled, objection, argumentative. The judge agreed. Barrett fixed his tie. Your mother's shown deep regret. She's offered to pay everything back. Whose money? I shot back. The retirement money she stole from Mrs. Patterson, the college money she took from the Jacobsons. He just blinked. Okay, so everything went sideways. My dad's lawyer, he tried to make him seem like this poor, stressed-out guy, just trying to keep up appearances for the family. He said Dad never meant to hurt anyone permanently, that he always planned to pay everyone back. Just like he replaced my college fund when I was 16. That old hurt man, it all came flooding back like finally it had a point. It was like a test run, you know. He was seeing how far he could go before someone called him out. A bunch of whispers started going around the courtroom. Judge Chen banged her gavel. Brooke's lawyer, some kid, fresh out of law school, tried to clean up the mess. He said my sister always looked up to me, that she felt really bad about what happened. Yeah, well, she only felt bad after she got caught. I looked into Brooke's eyes, all full of tears. But not when she was living in a house bought with my stolen identity, not when she was using my law degree to get jobs, and definitely not when all those old people were losing their life savings. The defense made one last-ditch effort, trying to make it all seem like a family disagreement. My dad's lawyer Barrett, he spoke again, real soft. He said, Ms. Hart, nobody's saying there weren't mistakes. But he said maybe we could just, handle this as a family thing. Family love doesn't forge signatures, I said, that hung in the air. Family doesn't steal identities. What you did wasn't about love. It was all about the money. Judge Chen, her glasses were flashing in the light as she leaned in. She said, Mr. Barrett, I've heard enough about family. This court deals in facts. It was a really slick operation, preying on people who were already down and out, even my own sister. Trying to call it a simple family misunderstanding, that's just insulting, honestly. She came to us for help, you know. Walter Hart, the judge said, and Dad stood up, trying to look strong like always. 17 years in federal prison, then 5 more on probation. He has to pay everyone back, starting with Joanne, my sister. Mom's perfect stance just completely fell apart. 14 years, 5 years probation, restitution, then there was Brooke. My sister's hands were shaking so bad her tissue was falling apart. 10 years, 5 years probation. Payback for everyone she hurt. The judge's gavel slammed down hard. 2 guys in suits stepped up, their handcuffs flashing. Evelyn, Mom whispered, her voice breaking as they took her away. Please, she begged. I just sat there, stiff as a board, looking straight ahead. The woman they handcuffed wasn't the mom who taught me to write my name. Mrs. Patterson patted my shoulder as she walked by. You did the right thing, honey, she said. People from the tennis club nodded as they left, the Jacobsons, the Wilsons, the Patels. People who trusted our family, who believed in us. I protected them all by finally speaking up. And then the courtroom was empty. Caleb slowly gathered his stuff, giving me some space after he left. I walked the 6 blocks to my office, taking my time. The afternoon sun was low, shining through my windows as I opened my desk drawer. There was Mom's birthday card, just sitting there like I'd left it 3 months before. Her fancy handwriting asked me to sign some papers. I put it in an evidence bag, sealed it up, and wrote case closed with today's date in my neatest handwriting. The city lights started to sparkle as I finally sat down in my leather chair, letting my shoulders loosen up. The word strong kept popping into my head. Not my family's kind of strong, which meant keeping quiet, but my kind of strong. Strong enough to stand up for myself. Strong enough to tell the truth, strong enough to protect others. Then bam, a knock at my door. Ms. Hart, Amanda's voice was soft. Someone's here to see you, they need help with a family fraud case. I touched my grandma's watch, remembering what she'd said about trust. I straightened my jacket and went to the door. Whatever was next, it was waiting for me. My nameplate, Evelyn Hart, Director of Victim Restitution Program, shone bright in the morning sun. I ran my fingers over the engraved letters, half expecting to wake up back in my old office, buried in all those corporate deals. But this was real life. 6 months after the trial, everything around me showed how much I'd changed. The intimidating mahogany and cold, modern art were history. Now there were comfy chairs set up in a circle, walls covered with helpful information, and a little table with water and tissues. A poster showed exactly what financial abuse looked like, easy to understand. My grandma's watch glinted as I fixed a pamphlet that was off. The crystal flashed, just like her last words. She knew somehow. Maybe she spotted the same things I was too blind to see for so long. Beside my diplomas hung a framed letter. Its basic handwriting meant way more than any fancy degree. Mrs. Peterson, my old English teacher, wrote it after my family's mess got straightened out and she got her house back. Your strength gave others courage, she'd said. You proved it's never too late to do what's right. The intercom crackled. Your dinner guests are here, Ms. Hart. I glanced at my watch. 7 o'clock sharp. Some things just don't change, even if everything else did. Caleb, Tara, and Eric were waiting in the lobby, chilling in their regular clothes instead of their usual suits. Caleb's smile widened as I walked up. Look who's getting out of the office at a decent time, he joked. First time for everything. I grabbed my coat. Antonio S. The restaurant's brick walls and checkered tablecloths felt a million miles away from the cold conference rooms where we worked. The candlelight danced between us as the waiter poured our wine. Caleb lifted his glass. To chosen family, he said, and those words felt so good, so right deep down in my soul. We touched glasses, smiling real smiles, not the fake ones we'd been putting on during all those awful court hearings. Then Caleb says, pulling out his phone, speaking of family stuff, check your email. The first restitution checks went out today. I put down my fork. Things moved fast, faster than I ever expected. He kind of shrugged, but his eyes were shining. Your old clients, they deserved that peace of mind, he said. Thank you, I managed, but it felt like such a tiny word for such a huge thing. The next morning, I was facing my first support group. 8 people sat there in those perfectly arranged chairs, all looking just as stunned and hurt as I'd felt that day in my office, staring at those fake documents. An older guy mumbled, twisting his wedding ring, I should have known. 52 years of marriage and she cleaned us out for some online con artist. My Laura. I spoke softly. You didn't fail her. She failed you, there's a big difference there. Heads nodded all around the room. They'd all heard the same old lies I had. Family emergency, special circumstances, just this one time. Back in my office, I held my phone, my thumb hovering over my mom's last text. We can fix this, please, for family. Then, deleted. I whispered to the empty room, that's why I'm protecting other people from you. Then my computer beeped, a credit alert. My credit score was finally back where it should be, an 810, just like before all that craziness. It felt like another piece of my life was put back together. I walked over to the filing cabinets, the kind with tons of drawers. The bottom one held everything from my family's case, all the evidence, pictures, bank records, everything from court. I slammed the drawer shut. The afternoon sun poured in my window, and I straightened my jacket, getting ready to give my testimony to the state Senate. My proposed Hart Amendment would make things better for families ripped off by financial fraud, closing the loopholes my own parents used to screw people over. The chair of the committee said after I was done, your personal pain has made something really good happen for everyone. Her gray hair shimmered as she leaned in. Not many can turn something like that betrayal into something positive. I told her, sometimes being strong means saying no to family, my voice even and calm, especially when they're hurting other people. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across my office rug as I finished up my paperwork. Then I saw her, a young woman pacing in the waiting area, holding a manila envelope, all hunched over like she was trying to protect herself. I knew that posture. I'd been just like that not long ago. I watched her through the glass, saw her take a deep breath, straighten up. My grandma's words popped into my head. Stay strong, my girl, not everyone deserves your trust. But some people do, some people earn it, they prove it. They stand by you. As the world seemed to spin off its axis, I called out from my office, come in. I knew how she felt, you know. My voice softened and I said, I can help you with this. Her eyes found mine and I knew she was searching for something. I pointed toward the chair opposite my desk. I'd sat right there, just dealing with the shock and feeling betrayed, too. But this time, the person in that chair knew how to make things better. That was where the real power was. It wasn't about staying quiet or making sacrifices. It was about fighting back, about breaking the cycle, about using what hurt you to protect others. My grandma's old watch ticked quietly, each tick a reminder of change, a step ahead, a chance to show that family wasn't just about what you were born into or what you had to do. It was about choosing, about trusting, about being honest. And sometimes, it was about telling the people who raised you no, so you could finally say yes to the person you were meant to be.